Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. We're going to look at the astrology of the week ahead. I'm off to New York this weekend, so I need to get this done before I pack up. And so I'm not my usual fluffy self. All right, let's get started. So we're looking at the third week here, and just trying to, yes, okay. All right, guys. So justice is being served, is it not? Week 3, Monday, October 17th. Venus makes it in conjunct to Neptune. Issues or your judgment of relationships may be off. You may be idealizing a partner or a relationship. This is a rose-colored glasses alert. Rose-colored glasses alert. In conjunction create irritations. I think those irritations need to be paid attention to and not sort of overlooked like, oh, they're just being that way. You need to deal with the irritation before it becomes something bigger. We also have this Monday a trine between the Sun and Mars. This is a highly energetic aspect, illuminating. It is a good time to take a risk in putting yourself out there in the world. So it's a good day to put yourself out, but relationships are a little dicey for Monday. It is a day to best believe in yourself. So come Monday, believe in yourself. Tuesday, the 18th, we have Venus trine Mars. Venus and the Sun are moving together, and towards the later in the month, they are making a conjunction in the last degree of Libra. So that's kind of a little bit of a period on the end of a sentence. Let's talk about it. Let's get the laws passed. Let's look at things in a balanced way, right? We have to listen to one another, right? So putting your true self out there on Tuesday. So yeah, you just have to be real careful of any idealization that you might have regarding a relationship. Neptune always sort of brings in this sort of like, I don't want to say holier than thou energy, but idealized version of, and that's what you have to be careful of, whether you're idealizing yourself or you're idealizing somebody else. So here we have the inconjunct. We have Neptune here at 24 of Pisces, Venus at 24 of Libra. We can see how close the Sun and Venus are. Neptune at 24 degrees of Pisces. This cycle began. Let's look at when it began, because that's really what's important, right? What was the seed planted? The seed was planted back in April 27th of 2022 at 25 degrees of Pisces. A religious organization succeeds in overcoming the corrupting influence of perverted practices and materialized ideals. Well, wouldn't that be nice? But that is the energy. That's what's being required of it. Venus, Neptune now at 24 degrees, just a degree away from the initial conjunction. On a small island surrounded by a vast expanse of sea, people are seen living in close interaction. This requires emotional adjustments to Venus and Libra, a butterfly with its third wing on its left side, the ability to develop for inner strengthening, new modes of response to basic life situations. Your judgment in relationships is off. You may be idealizing a partner or a relationship. Rose-colored glasses, take them off. Look at things realistically. It's okay. It's good. It's good. You don't have to sugarcoat things. We can look at them as they truly are. And then, of course, on the same day, we see Mars making that trine to the sun, right? And then, of course, the next day, Mars is going to be trining Venus. So we have a lot of energy towards this Sun-Venus conjunction here. This waxing trine, waxing in that it's 120 degrees away from each other, is a creative, self-expressive energy. The flow that began, this waxing trine is a creative, self-expressive energy, a flow that began back on 10/8 of 2021, when Mars and the Sun conjoined at 16 degrees of Libra. It seems like a long time ago, but Mars does take 2 years in its cycle with the Sun. Okay. At that time, the conjunction was after a storm, a boat landing stands in need of reconstruction. The need to keep in operation steady links between the vast unconscious and ego consciousness. I think there's a lot of levels to this particular initial conjunction. Obviously, we've been through a storm. Obviously, the storm is continuing. In fact, I think the Proud Boy people call themselves that we are the storm and all this other stuff. It was really a permission to be your worst self. I think that's really what Trump has done, given people permission to be their worst selves. And I think people are finally sick and tired of people being their worst selves. This is not a time when we can be our worst selves. This is a time when we need to be our best selves and show our best side. It's life and death, really. So let's try to remember that. But this energy, this flow of energy, we have an opportunity to actually do some reconstruction. The energy is there for it. On Wednesday, the 19th, we have the Sun Square Pluto. This is a biggie. It is a reorientation of power. We're seeing this, aren't we, though? We're seeing the reorientation of power, things moving around. It's been going on for a while now. Actually, it's seen mostly militarily, but there are other things that, because there's so much chaos and war and explosions and things of the like, that we may not know all of the changes that are happening now. The Sun Square Pluto, hold on one second. I need to take a phone call. So sorry, guys. That's not what I want to pause. All right. Sorry about that. My girlfriend, who was picking me up at Penn Station, wanted to know what time. And I did send it to her, and it wasn't clear enough. I'm so sorry. Okay. So Wednesday's a big day. It's a big day. It's a 35/8 day. The 35/8 is the 9 of Wands, the vigilant soldier, keeping your boundaries. So it's going to be important that you hold steady, because with this last quarter square, crisis in consciousness and the reorientation of power, it's important that you both stand your ground, but also are aware that there is a shift in the power, and you just need to be aware where you are, where you're walking, what you're doing, where you happen to be, because not everybody's going to be thrilled about this. It is part of the cycle of the Sun and Pluto. It is 3/4 around the wheel of the 360-degree wheel. On Thursday, October 20th, we have Venus square Pluto, of course, because everything that's happened to the Sun is simultaneously next day or momentarily going to happen to Venus. This is a last quarter crisis in consciousness square. It's especially powerful because, well, it is a time to reorient our sense of feminine power in the service of understanding and expanding the power of the feminine. And you can see here that I have all these women over here. Back in the day when this was the first answer to Trump's presidency, and that hasn't gone anywhere. It's actually strengthened thanks to the Supreme Court, although it doesn't feel like a thank you, and it really stinks. And there's a lot of unnecessary suffering, not to mention how it's messing up how doctors can treat their patients. That should be illegal. Of all things, that should be illegal. It's, well, let's not go there because I'll lose my mind, and this can't be too long. Let's look at the reorientation of power. Let's start at the beginning. The beginning was actually back in January, on the 16th of January. It was a 23.5 vibration, which is the King of Wands, actually. It occurred at 27 degrees of Capricorn, pilgrims climbing the steps leading to a mountain shrine. This symbol speaks of how people in spiritual organizations, associations, religious churches, whatever, but the most advanced spiritual people who have climbed the mountain, who have done the pilgrimage, that we can utilize some of their perspective in a situation where Capricorn is the energy of redemption. And so there's this energy of redemption through a certain amount of spiritual heavy lifting, as it were, in this symbol. Now, the reorientation of power, Pluto is at the same degree as the initial conjunction, but the sun is now 270 degrees beyond Pluto. That is 3/4 of the way through the cycle. So we have this initial energy of climbing up a mountain. Well, yeah, a mountain, yeah. And now we have the sun at 27 degrees of Libra. An airplane sails high in a clear sky, a consciousness able to transcend the conflicts and pressures of the personal life. Keyword here is the image introduces us to the realm of unity beyond polarity and at a stage of transcendent realization, excuse me. So this is an important time, a time when we need to stay in our highest vibrational selves, because the light that's being, as we do that, we emit more light, and we need the light in order to see the direction that we need to go to. This give power to that reorientation of power, maybe move away from this, trying to cut everybody down at the knees and feel like you won, winning at all costs and all of that. We're really beyond that, or if not all of us, many of us, and we need to be beyond all of that, I think. And here we have the Eight of Wands here. And we look here, this is the chart. This is a chart for the US. Apologies to everybody else who lives in other places. But we see the sun here in the house of hidden enemies. So things are being illuminated, things perhaps that were not illuminated are being illuminated now. And we have Pluto in that second house. The second house is our resources. This can be, to a certain extent, the military-industrial complex. In the Sibley chart, Pluto is in the second house, and it is often associated with that. as well, but there are things happening under, um, there are things happening that we're not privy to. And because of that, I think it's especially important to shine as best you can your light. So we also have Venus doing the same thing that the sun did. And we can see here, here's Pluto here, here's Venus. This is a last quarter crisis in action, a crisis in consciousness square. It's a reorientation of power, but now we're speaking of Venus, and Venus powerfully placed in the sign of her rulership. So she's especially powerful. This cycle began at the end of 2020 when Venus was made 3 exact conjunctions to Pluto. So this was during a Venus retrograde cycle. So she spent a lot of time in the underworld, getting to know Pluto, I guess. We had the first one occurred December 11th at 26 degrees of Capricorn, the second one on December 25th at the same 26 degrees of Capricorn. That was when Venus was retrograde. And then we had a third one when Venus was direct on March 3rd. That was a 3-3, the 3-3 portal. And it occurred at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which incidentally is the degree of the US Pluto. So there's this energy and a reestablishment of power, but with the voice of women, And we have here Eris. Eris at this point is at 25 degrees of Aries. So not only is this square that we see between Pluto and Venus happening, but we also have Venus opposing Eris. Eris, the goddess of discord. I'm not going to take it anymore. She challenges power. She challenges power, and we're seeing that on all sides, right? It's not just, what I would call would we be the white shirts or the black shirts? I don't know. Well, I guess yin is black, right? So we'd be the black shirts, but we're the good gals, as it were. But this Eris was there when of course the sun is there, right? So Eris is opposite the sun as well. So this is a revolutionary time. And we also have the US Mercury here at 25 degrees of Cancer retrograde. So we do have this Venus making a square to the US Mercury. And certainly women, we the people, women are going to express ourselves in the upcoming elections. Okay, let's get on to the next thing. And on Saturday, October 22nd, 22, of course, being a master number, 2022, we add that up, we get a 3811, which is also a master number. And we have Mercury in conjunct Uranus. Adjustments needed on how you communicate your unique ideas. And then to put a period at the end of the sentence of this week, the week of justice. I'm going to call it the week of female justice. Anyway, we have Venus conjoining the sun at 30 degrees of Libra. And we also have, there's like a couple of things happening on this day. Mercury trine Saturn, the structure to get your message out there, but you need to go by the rules. There is weight to your words. So let's take a look at the chart here. And we're looking at the conjunction of Venus and the sun. When Venus conjoins the sun, Venus is again under the rays of the sun, and to a certain extent in the underworld. There's two types of this is a conjunction where we're the earth here, and then the sun, and then Venus is on the other side of the sun. So 30 degrees of Libra, 3 mounds of knowledge on a philosopher's head. the fulfillment of man's power of understanding at whatever level of existence the person operates. This is a holistic approach to knowledge, a holistic approach to knowledge. We can see here this conjunction happening. This is the US chart for Washington, D.C., happening in the seventh house, making new connections, making new pacts and creating new relationships to foster that sense of balance and peace. And like Volodymyr Zelensky spoke of in his address to the UN, we have to work for peace. We have to do the hard work of peace so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where somebody feels they have the right to come in to sovereign territory and take it over. And it's not just that Russia's guilty of this, although Russia is probably guilty in the most horrible ways, in the way that they treat the people that they're attacking. We also see it in the US when we went into Iraq. We have seen it in the US when we've gone down and disrupted the Central America and South America. So we're all, it's not about country as much as it is about a better way of managing and ruling, so that we can move in the direction of life instead of the direction of death. That Thanos that we seem to be all tied up in to a certain extent. We can see here also on this day, we have Saturn making that square to, Saturn making the trine to Mercury. This is a trine of understanding. It's a trine where we share our knowledge and what we know. Excuse me, let me go back here. So this is an opportunity at this time to speak what you know. Also, Mercury deals with listening. So it's really important at this time that we not only say stuff, but that we listen to what's being said. This is an opportunity for us to learn, and an opportunity that we need to take. So it's a very interesting week. It's a very interesting week in that there's a lot of push towards peace, to the best of our ability, seeing things that we hadn't seen before, and the rise of the feminine. It's good to see, isn't it? All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Have yourself a wonderful week. I do have just, and I know I'm announcing this a lot, but not everybody watches everything I do. So I apologize if this is repetitive. I do have a Patreon page if you want to support my work. At this moment, I have a couple of things on Patreon. Mostly everything I'm doing is still on YouTube, but I am planning on and working on some special some special readings that I'm going to be doing, in-depth stuff. And I did one on Michael Cohen and Letitia James, and how their collaboration and perhaps started the ball rolling for the end of Trump. And so that's on there if you're interested. And there are different levels of support. You can choose whatever level. You will get access to everything that's on there at this point. And once I start developing things on Patreon a little bit more, then the people who do support me a little bit more will get a little bit more. Some live stuff, and so we can actually talk about stuff and not have to worry about, the advertisers like you have to worry about on YouTube. You don't have to be as careful, and then you can just say what you need to say, right? Hopefully, at least that's what I think. Let's hope that's true. Makes sense to me. All right, guys, take care. Have a wonderful month. Week. Sorry. See you next week. And if I can, I'll share a little of my New York trip with you. Take care, everyone. Namaste.